family? What is going on? How are you all doing tonight? I know it's a bit of an impromptu one, but you seen the thumbnail, you seen the title. If you don't know what time it is, winter is coming. The rise and fall of the modern black woman. We're going to get into the conversation today. Let's get into it. Oh, this is going to be fire. I'm feeling it. Let's get into it, family. Okay. Big shout out to the family. Big shout out to the Black Mill TV. Gentlemen, this one is for you. To all my ladies in the house, shout out to all my Black Mill TV family. Ladies, for those of you of the LSG mindset, you will know what we are about already on this platform, and that we push and promote family. We push and promote male leadership, first and foremost, being the head of the household. We push group economics, a group economic mindset, interdependent mindset, legacy, heritage, and prosperity for those of us with the same like mind, goals, and vision. Big shout out to the family. Don't forget, guys, love plus support equals growth. Hashtag every time. When you're coming in, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, feel free to share the video. Leave a comment down below or in the chat, whichever one suits your fancy, whether you're watching this live or whether you catch this later on. We're going to get into it, guys. This is going to be a deep one. So make sure you got your seat trays ready. You've got your drink in your hand, whatever it is that's going to be tickling your fancy tonight. Yeah, because it's a Saturday night. I know some of you might be out and about right now in the town. But for those of you that are at home right now, chilling, relaxing, let's get into some knowledge. Let's get into some gems. And let's reveal, you know what I'm saying? Let's reveal the madness that's going on right now in our community. All right, family? No, I was getting some stuff ready. That was a little check. Anyway, guys, so it's often said, guys, let me turn this music down. It's often said that if the man is the head of the household, I'm going to drink my water here. If the man is the head of the household, then the woman is the neck of the head. Now, that's a very strong statement. That's a very strong parable that we have to understand and we have to dig a little bit deeper into. Because if the man is the head, the decision, the protector, the visionary, the mindset, the goal, the purpose, then the woman is the neck. She's the navigator. She's the motivator. She's the support, the pillar to which the head stands on. But is this an ideology that's promoted in our community? Or is this an ideology that's been long forgotten? Because what I'm seeing on the platforms, especially in this manosphere space on the YouTube, because it's filtering, it's seeping in, it's coming in everywhere. And there doesn't seem to be, let me put it this way, as it's seeping in and coming in right now, the men are running away from the women, and the women are like,
why are you running? Why are you running?
The men be running away from the women, like, and the women be like, why are you running? So we're going to get into the conversation tonight, guys. We're going to find out why men are going their own way and what's really going on in the community. Because there is, well, let me say it. Kevin said it the other night, right? So I'm going to say it again. Big shout out to Kevin Samuels. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. And in case you haven't realized what winter is, the Great Reset is upon us. That's what it is. The Great Reset is upon us, family. There's going to be a change in the social dynamics. There's going to be a change in the economic system. There's going to be a change in the ecological system. There's going to be a change right across the board in the next few years. And if you are not prepared, if you do not have family, if you do not have moral standards, principles, and values, if you do not have a new mindset, you're going to be swallowed up with what is coming. So let's get into it. Let's play the first video. I want you guys to watch this video real quick, and we're going to get into a bit of history. We're going to get a bit into the conversation, and we're going to find out why the rise and the fall of the modern black woman. Winter is coming. Shout out to Kevin Samuel. Shout out to the Manosphere. Big shout out to Manosphere Highlights. Let's get into it.
It's a hard thing to admit.
1 second. Just want to make sure that my sound is coming through okay. So can you guys, I'm not sure what's going on with my internet right now. It's acting a bit dodgy, so bear with me for 1 second. I'm just putting music back on. Okay. Okay, we're back. We're back, people. We're back. Slight technical glitch right there. You're just playing the wrong video. But let's get into it. All right. Let's get into it. Let me turn that music down. Let's go.
Women don't cook, and they go around saying they think it's something to be proud of. I don't cook. They brag on it.
I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you, I got this ring.
Many of our young girls can't boil water, can't boil an egg, can't do anything. And they think that's cute because we don't have mothers in the community anymore as much teaching how to cook. We buy everything out. We don't know what we eat. Snails, raccoons, squirrels. We don't know how to identify meat. And so our families have been so torn apart, and we have been made to hate each other. And the other reasons is that every problem that the white woman has had with the white man, they have pushed those issues on us, or we have adopted those issues and decided that that was our problem too.
Let me pause that right there. I want to give a big shout out to Shahrazad Ali because there must be more to it than just that. Big shout out to Royal Rising. Big shout out to House of Blooms. Big shout out to FN Logistics. Big shout out to all your Blackmail TV family tuning in. This is going to be a deep one. This is going to be a deep one. We're going to read a few articles. We're going to watch a few videos. And we're going to get into the heart of what's really going on. There is an attack on our women right now. There's been an attack. And they don't even know what's coming. So, gentlemen, you need to be prepared to understand what's happening ahead. Because if you pair yourself up with the wrong woman in this time and in this age, in this moment, it is going to be to your downfall. And I'm speaking from personal experience. I've seen this in my community. I've seen it amongst friends. I've even been touched by it also. But I was lucky because it didn't break me. I was lucky because I was able to find, well, let me not get into that too much. Let's get into it, right? So, Shahrazad Ali just dropped a bomb right now, family. And let's play it again in case you all missed it.
We don't have mothers in the community anymore as much teaching how to cook. We buy everything out. We don't know what we eat. Snails, raccoons, squirrels. We don't know how to identify meat. And so our families have been so torn apart, and we have been made to hate each other. And the other reasons is that every problem that the white woman has had with the white man, they have pushed those issues on us, or we have adopted those issues and decided that that was our problem too.
So the question is there any truth to this? Shahrazad Ali has said to you, my sisters, for those of my sisters that's listening in the chat, for those of you that are going to listen to this video later on, I want to ask you something, especially to my black sisters, right? Let me talk to my community for a second. Have you adopted an issue, a mindset, an ideology that's not yours? Is that what you've done? Let's have a look, right? Let's have a look. Let's go. Let me share my screen so you guys can see what I'm seeing, right? And we're going to go through a bit of history so that we can get some understanding. Because, you know, on this platform, we're not just going to talk out the side of our mouth. We're going to bring some understanding. And after you hear this, you have a choice to make. Because part of being in an LSG mindset and part of being in an LSG lifestyle is holding fast to LSG principles, which are what? Love plus support equals growth. I told you I'm going to do a breakdown on that, right? So we can get real into it and see really what's going on. So let me enlarge the screen a bit. So I hope you guys can see it. Is that any clearer? Okay. Much better. Okay, let me go into it. Let's get into it. It reads, right? And Sisters, I want you to understand that there's been an agenda, an ideology, a mindset that's been propagated and pushed upon you. Gentlemen, I want you to understand, for some of you that already do, for some of you that don't, you need to understand that this agenda and this mindset has not only permeated in our community amongst our women, but also in our mothers, our sisters, our aunties. So let's see what's really going on here so that we can dissect it, take accountability where it needs to be taken so that we can move forward. Shahrazad Ali said that the sisters, the black women in our community have adopted an ideology and a mindset that's not theirs. So let's look into it. Have they done this? Feminism. What does it read? I am all the links to all the videos and the articles that I'm going to be reading from tonight are down below in the description box so that you can read it from yourself, watch the full videos or the clips, whatever they may be. And I hope that helps you in your journey going forward, in the awakening, because it's a great awakening. And if you are not awake, then you are going to fall, because this is the rise and fall of the modern black woman. How so? Feminism. Let's get into it. Feminism is the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. Equality. Equality. Let me go over here real quick. So I hope you, let me share the whole screen so that you can see when I jump back and forth, because it's not allowing you to see. Okay, let me do it this way. Let me remove that and let me share the whole entire screen so that you can see exactly what I see. So I hope this works. Yes, that works. Yes, brilliant, excellent. Okay, so let's get into it now. So the definition, first and foremost, feminism. This is from the Cambridge Dictionary. Feminism is the belief that women should be allowed the same rights, power, and opportunities as men, and, meaning in addition to, be treated in the same way or the set activities intended to achieve this state. So feminism, in its premise, makes sense, right? It sounds reasonable. It sounds like, yeah, this is something that we want, something for equality of women, rights and power and opportunities as men have, right? But let's dig a bit deeper. Let's see about the history, because Shahrazad Ali dropped a very great point. She said that our women have adopted something that doesn't belong to them. And I always protest on this platform that women that think like this have left the table, gentlemen. Women who adopt the feminist modernist mindset have left the table, meaning they're not looking to build our community. And it's going to explain why as we read on. They're not looking to build our community because the mindset and the agenda behind the feminist movement that created it, that pushed it, that manifested it, never had us as a community, speaking about the black community right now, never had us in mind in its intention, in its purpose, and its outcomes. So let's have a look. Let's have a read. Bear with me, family. Don't worry. There's lots of videos to come, a few more clips to come, and we're going to get into it, right? I'll hit some of the chats a bit later, but please do leave your comments in it, and we'll go back over it, all right? So let's get some understanding. Feminism, the belief in social, economic, and political equality of the sexes, although largely originating from the West. I want everyone in this conversation on this podcast to pay very close attention. I'm not racist. I'm about facts and history. We must first take accountability. LSG means love plus support equals growth. Under the tenet of love, it stands truth, accountability, honor, and integrity. So let's get some truth and let's take some accountability. Although largely originating in the West, feminism is manifested worldwide and is represented by various institutions committed to the activity on behalf of women's rights and interests. Throughout most of Western history, please note this, women were confined to domestic hemisphere. while public life was reserved for men. Now, why am I making that point about Western history? Because we, speaking about the Black community, understand that we do not come from the Western history. Yes, we had part in it during the Dark Ages. Yes, we were able to have part in it during the Roman Empire. But predominantly, Europe has been run by Europeans and Caucasians, or what you would call Caucasians. So when women were confined to domestic sphere, that was in the, because whenever I'm hearing feminists, they always talk about patriarchy, right? So when they talk about patriarchy, I'm interested to know what patriarchy they're speaking about. Shahrazad Ali has already alluded to it. So let's find out a bit more. Let's get into it a little bit more. Let's find out what's going on. Women were confined to domestic sphere while public life was reserved for men. In medieval Europe, medieval Europe. Okay. I know there were Black people there at that time, but let's read on. Women were denied the right to own property, to study, or to participate in public life. At the end of the 19th century in France, another European country, they were still compelled to cover their heads, this is women, mind you, in public, and in parts of Germany. Interesting. Isn't that another European country? I'm just curious. We talked about medieval Europe. We talked about, you know what? Let's read some more. Let me not jump the gun. Let's keep going. Let's find out whether this patriarchy we speak of and that our women adopt so often, is it the patriarchy that her counterpart, the Black man, has put upon her? Let's see. Because the Black man's the reason why everything's messed up, right? It's our fault for everything. So let's have a look, gentlemen. At the end of the 19th century in France, they were still compelled to cover their heads in public, and in parts of Germany, a husband still had the right to sell his wife. European country again. Even as late as the early 20th century, women could neither vote nor hold elective office in Europe and in most of the United States, where several territories and states granted women suffrages long before the federal government did so. I just want us to understand that. This is just a preliminary. Women were prevented from conducting business without a male representative, be it a father, brother, husband, legal agent, or even a son. Now, I'm not saying this was easy for women. That's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about history and we're talking about facts. And I'm looking at this from the perspective of the Black community. So far, we've only heard about Europeans and how the Europeans were treating their women in their society. This corroborates with what Shahrazad Ali said. Married women could not exercise control over their own children without the permission of their husbands. Moreover, women had little to no access to education and were barred from most professions. In some parts of the world, such restrictions on women continue today. That's true, especially what comes to mind would be the Arab states. Some Muslim countries, some countries within, actually I can't think of any African country. Well, some African countries that have Islam as their religion, state religion, may do this now. But I want everybody to just read. This is Britannica, right? UK definition feminism. I went to Cambridge, we read that source. Equality, right? Now we're reading the history of why the equality was needed, because the women in the European society were being treated in a degrading and derogatory way. I'm reading European history. That's the culture, right? So let's pause for a second. Culture. Culture is the abstract, learned, shared values and standards for generating behavior and understanding experience. So this culture, patriarchal culture, that our women love to speak about, so far what we're reading here is from a European perspective. So let's keep going. Let's see, because I know somewhere in here, there must be us in here somewhere, right? History of feminism. Okay, let's go back in time. The ancient world. I wish I had a sound effect for going back in time, like something from Back to the Future. Marty. Anyway, the ancient world. There is scant evidence of early organized protests against such circumscribed status. In the 3rd century BCE, Roman women. Hold on. Roman Empire, 3rd century BCE, Roman Empire. Let's have a look. I'm just going to Google Roman Empire. Yeah. And yes, there were black people in Rome before some black people try to kill me and say there weren't no black people. Yes, there were black people in Rome. But when we look at Roman Empire, we know that was in the middle of Italy, right? And those people are also European. Very interesting. See them right there? So we're going back in time to the patriarchy of the Europeans. Let's just make that clear. No shade at my European brothers over there and sisters over there. No, I ain't cussing you. I'm just letting you know this was your culture. This was your mindset. This was how you behaved and treated your women. Now, I want the black women who watch this platform, watch this program, support this program, who talk about, want to build, the Pan-Africanists, the ADOS, the chematologists, the Hebrew, all them people there that want to be the strong black woman independent. Show me the black patriarchy so far as I'm reading in the history books. Show it to me. Roman women, let's go back. Roman women filled the Capitoline Hill, similar to what? Capitol Hill in the United States of America. The women blocked every entrance of the forum when Consul Marcus Pornicus Cato resisted attempts to repeal laws limiting women's use of expensive goods. If they are victorious now, what would they not attempt? Cato cried. As soon as they begin to be your equal, they will have become your superiors. I want you to listen to that very carefully. Cato said, this is in the Roman times, if the women are victorious now, this is in 3 BCE, what will they not attempt? This is the mindset of the men, the patriarchy, the European patriarchy at that time. He says, as soon as they begin to be your equals, they will have become your superiors. Let's go back to the definition. Feminism. The belief that women should be allowed the same rights, power, and opportunities as men and be treated in the same way or set of activities intended to achieve this state. But if you become superior, you are no longer equal. If you seek for superiority, you are no longer equal. Equality of opportunities, not equality of outcomes. Let's keep reading. That rebellion proved exceptional, however. For most of recorded history, whose history? Because the word history, it has to do with his story, as my brothers and sisters love to state. So whose story are we reading here? Let's keep going. Only isolated voices spoke out against the inferior statuses of women, presaging the arguments to come. In the late 14th century and 15th century France, hold up a minute. Something don't sound right here. Whoa. We got to pull the phone. Yeah? No. We got to pull the phone.
Got him! Got him!
Something don't smell right here, ladies. Gentlemen, are you listening? In the 14th and 15th century France, my question to all the ladies who want to push this ideology, where were our people during 14th and 15th century? When did slavery start again? Oh, yes, 1600, right? The first slaves were taken over in 15 what? So-called Christopher Columbus rediscovered America to the Europeans during 1492, right? Around that period. So during the 14th and 15th century, where were we? That this movement was going on. And we were a part of it because the patriarchy was tearing us down. Pull it up, sisters. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. And don't come with no feelings. Don't come with no I feel like. Bring me the history as I'm bringing it to you here, because it's very easy to pull it up. We're going to go back to Shahrazad Ali in a second. Let me just keep reading this for a second. Actually, you know what? Let's pause. Let's play some Shahrazad. See what she says.
When I keep saying we don't have nothing to do with the white woman and what she got going with her man. We trying to deal with our own. And as a result of our frustration and our anger, many of our men have left us to go to women of other nationalities because they feel like they can get along with them better. It's not because they're better women, but they haven't suffered the same kind of traumas that we have.
Okay, so those other women haven't suffered the same kind of traumas that our sisters had. So that's why the men are leaving you. Winter is coming. You can't keep playing the victim mentality now, ladies. Victimhood. The victim mentality is a psychological term that refers to a type of dysfunctional mindset. So if you're in a victimhood mentality, you're dysfunctional. How are you going to build? How are you now conducive to society? How are you raising children? What is your mindset? How are you now in a relationship? What is your mindset? How are you raising boys? What is your mindset? I'm going to come hard with this because our people don't like to listen. They don't like to listen. The victimhood mentality seeks to feel persecuted in order to gain attention or avoid self-responsibility. The number one pillar of LSG is love, and it stands for truth, accountability. Self-responsibility is accountability. But we don't like those values, do we? Because I want to do what I want. Right? That's what we playing over here, right?
Stop it. Get some help.
Yeah, that's what we playing over here, right? And then we wondering why the community is not being built. Ladies, the men are running away from you like... And then you sitting there asking...
Why are you running? Why are you running?
The men are running, and you're there, why they running? Why can't I find a good man? They're running away from you. Winter is coming. It's coming. But instead of doing things the easy way, you ladies want to keep fighting. Gentlemen, do not fight women that come with this mindset. They like to ice skate uphill.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
And if they're trying to ice skate uphill, why are you doing it? You want to be going downhill. Right? Do not be going with women with this mindset. If you come across them, bruh, you seen the lady just now, right? You come across these women, you got gentlemen. Let's keep reading. Let's keep reading. Big shout out to Shahrazad Ali. Big shout out to Kevin Samuels. Big shout out to the Manosphere. Manosphere Highlights Daily. Love the video. In the late 14th and 15th century, France, the first feminist philosopher in France, mind you, European territory, Christine de Pizan, challenged prevailing attitudes. Now remember, I just gave you the definition of culture, right? So the prevailing attitude or prevailing culture was what? Towards women. What she said or what she did, her mantle was taken up later she challenged the prevailing thoughts and actions towards women, which, as I read earlier, was what? Women were prevented from conducting business without a male representative, had to have a father, brother, husband, legal, etc., as I read earlier. Her mantle was taken up later in the century, still in the 15th century, mind you, by Laura, I can't pronounce that. Cereti, I know. It's French. In the 15th century, a 15th century Venetian woman who published an epistle familiares, of letters of the families, right? Personal letters. And she said it's called The Collective Letters of a Renaissance Feminist, a volume of letters dealing with a panoply of women's complaints from women from where? Women from where? Not black women, because this is 15th century France. So when these black women keep coming at you and talking about the patriarchy, they are talking,
y'all are trash.
Absolute trash. Absolute trash. This is why this mindset is going to lead you into the gutter. And when it leads you into the gutter, winter is coming. You ain't got no man. You ain't got no family structure. You ain't got no knit community. You got a bunch of empowered women. When the system goes down, what's going to empower you then? When people are scrambling for food, I hope you got your empowerment then. Because the system going to be looking at you like,
Gotcha, bitch.
but let me go on, right? Let's go on. Bear with me, family. There's more. There's more. The plenty of women's complaints, the volume of letters dealing with the plenty of women's complaints from denial of education and marital oppression to the frivolity of women's attire. Right? This is what was going on then in European history. The defense of women had become a literary subgenre by the end of the 16th century. Oh, 1600s. Slave ships. You was on the belly of ships, bruh. But they're telling you you were part of the patriarchy of oppressing women. Nah, stop it.
Stop it. Get some help.
That's a lie. Yeah? Something's not adding up here. It sounded a bit fishy to me. What about you? Let's keep going. A feminist, a feminist broadsided by another Venetian author, Moderetta Fonte, was published presumptuously. Defenders of the status quo painted women as superficial and inherently immoral, while the emerging feminists at the time produced long lists of women of courage and accomplishments and proclaimed, this is back in the 16th century, that women would be intellectual equals of men if they were given equal access to education. European history. So European men stopping European women from having education in their European system. Still can't see black people up in here. But yet, our black women are talking about the black men oppressed us. They're patriarchy. They're doing this. I don't want to cook. I don't want to clean. I don't want to submit to a man because a man is going to oppress me. And what if he runs away with all the money? And what if he has another woman? And what if? Okay. Let's keep going. I know this is going to trigger some people, but at this point, I don't really care right now because we're trying to build a community. We're trying to build a people of LSG mindset. And you need to shed yourself of the foolishness from the West, from the Babylon system before it falls. Because when it falls, if you're still thinking like them, you're going to be looking to them to save you. And there ain't no salvation in this system. It's done. But let me not sidebar for a second. Let's go. The so-called debate about women did not reach England until the late 16th century, when pamphleteers, etc. like that joined battle over the true nature of womanhood. Since a series of satirical pieces mocking women was published, the first feminist pamphleteer in England, writing as Jane Anger, interesting name, Anger, responded with Jane Anger, this is her version of the book, her Protection for Women, 1589. I want you to notice the dates here, family. It's the dates that I'm looking at. Because I know black history, and I know that in 1589, we were still in Africa. So unless someone's going to show me the patriarchal system in Africa, where we were oppressing women and beating them down and stopping the education, because I know history that don't say that. But let's keep going. You're believing a lie. You're believing a lie if you believe this nonsense. This is not our culture. This is not our history. Excuse me, hit the mic. This volley of opinion continued for more than a century until other English author Mary Astle issued a more reasonable, she issued another pamphlet basically. This is 1694 to 1697. The two-volume work suggested that women inclined neither toward marriage. It said that women inclined neither towards marriage or nor a religious vocation should set up circular convents where they might live, study, and teach. So women who didn't want to get married or who didn't want to get into a religious vocation should set up a circular convent where they might live and study and be by themselves. This is 1694, 1697. Where's black people? Sisters, where were you? Where was your foremothers, your forefathers? Where were they? Where were they during that time period?
Childhood, growing up, what we and so our families have been so torn apart, and we have been made to hate each other. And the other reasons is that every problem that the white woman has had with the white man, they have pushed those issues on us, or we have adopted those issues and decided that that was our problem too.
Right? We decided that was our problem too. I'm just reading the history. You can Google it. Britannica. All the links are in my description box. Please go and check them out for yourself. I'm not making this up. But will our sisters do it? Will they really go check this information out and know that they've been lied to? Because to do that means you have to take accountability. And to mean you want to change your behavior, change the culture. Should I take some comments at this point? Let me take some comments at this point before I move on to the next segment. Because you ladies been typing up in here. Let me just grab a couple of the comments. Royal Risings, big shout out to you, sis. She says, we couldn't see where all this independent, I don't need no man attitude would lead to. Oh, sis, you dropped a bar. We couldn't see where all this independent, I don't need no man attitude would lead to. Many women do not want this at all. We love our men and we have been duped and taken off purpose massively. Wow. I would agree with that statement, sis. I'm going to have to drop you one of these videos. This is for you, sis.
They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation. They didn't give us that information. They made us think that it was some kind of glorified position to brag about the fact that I got my own job, my own credit card, my own car, so I don't need no man. I don't even know how we got that mixed up. Ain't none of that got nothing to do with being with no man. You know,
that one's for you, sis. And this is what I'm trying to say on the LSG, about LSG. We need a new mindset. And my wife and I, the family, the Black Mo TV family, to everyone that's listening, we're trying to promote to you to say, listen, we need a new mindset. What you're doing is not working. The black culture is not working. Dead that. The Pan-Africanist, the fake Pan-Africanist culture, not the original, is not working. The Hotep hustlers, it's not working. The I'm a strong black independent woman, it's not working. The kids running amok acting like monsters, it's not working. The men acting effeminate, running around the place, don't know how to take leadership, it's not working. It's not working. House of Bloom says, yes, let's take feelings out and let's keep the conversation on facts and history. I'm bringing the facts and history tonight. We're going to read it. And we're going to, because we understand what's been going on. It's time to wake up. Ladies, if you're hearing this, share this video. Other sisters need to wake up. They won't listen, but we only need a few. We're not looking for everyone. We never have said that we're looking for everyone on this platform. We only want people with the right mindset because winter is coming. House of Bloom says, let's take the feelings out and deal with the facts. I just read that. We must awake from this silly hypnotic rubbish and redirect our energy back to submitting to our men. Powerful, sis. Powerful. House of Bloom says, in Africa, under colonial oppression and the spread across four corners of the earth being brought and sold, that's where we are during that time period. Exactly. That's speaking to the 15th century, 15th and 16th century. Big shout out to all the Black Mo TV family. Thanks for watching. We're having the conversation. You think the thumbnail, you think the title. We're going to get into some history. Let's get back into it. So let me go back to the article. So the feminist voices of the Renaissance never coalesced into a coherent philosophy or movement. Remember, they always say that women can lead, right? But the feminist movement themselves couldn't even come to a coherent philosophy. They couldn't agree. This happened only with the Enlightenment, when women began to demand that the new reformist rhetoric about liberty, equality, and natural rights be applied to both sexes. See what happened there? Because contrary to popular belief during that time period, only the rich and the elite and the aristocrats had power. The peasants didn't have no power. You don't know European history. Only the middle classes and above had power to influence things in European history. So it's only until the women changed their rhetoric to include what? Equality, natural rights to be applied to both. So what was it before? Go back to the Roman emperor. What did he say? Marcus Ponticus, what did he say? If they are victorious now, what will they not attempt? As soon as they begin to be your equals, they will have become your superiors. There is an agenda, there is a mindset behind this movement that is not about equality, but is about superiority. And as a black woman in the black community, you are saying, if you follow this agenda, you want to have superiority over your man. How are you building? How are you building? Pan-African, black movement, Black Lives Matter. As far as I'm concerned, reading this and understanding where we are, you know what? I'll save that to the end. Let's keep going. When women began to demand the reforms, right? Let's go down. Initially, the enlightened philosophers focused on the inequalities of social class and the caste to the exclusion of gender. The Swiss-born, another European country. French, another European country. Philosopher called what? Jean-Jacques Resenu, if I said it correctly, for example, portrayed women as silly, frivolous creatures born to be subordinate to men. These are Europeans, mind you. Sounds familiar, right? When they drew us looking like monkeys and stuff back in the day, meant to be subordinate to them because, we were 3/5 of a man and we don't have no brain cells. Seems oddly familiar here, right? Or are we just going to ignore stuff because of how we feel about it, not what we know about it? Let's go on. In addition, the Declaration of the Rights, let me highlight this. The Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, which defined French citizenship, European country again, after the Revolution of 1789, pointedly failed to address the legal status of women. Again, European. Patriarchy. Let me skip down because I'm sure this is, is giving you some understanding, right? So where am I? Okay, let me scroll down a bit more. Let's play some of the video because I want to go over here, right? Here we go. This is where I want to go. Let's go over to this because we want to talk about the black women. And when did black women come into the conversation, right? So, no. Let's do some more to go. Let me jump down. Yeah? There we go. Where are we? Okay. There we go. Mary Ann McClintock, Jane Hunt, and Elizabeth Stanton, the wife of an abolitionist and the only non-Quaker in the group. The convention was planned with 5 days' notice, publicized only by a small unsigned advertisement. This is talking about the women suffragists, right? Stanton drew up a declaration of sentiments that guided the Seneca Falls Convention. Using the Declaration of Independence, American Constitution, again, European, Caucasian patriarchy, as her guide to proclaim that all men and women have been created equal. She drafted 11 resolutions, including the most radical demand, which was the right to vote, women, of course, with Frederick Douglass, a former slave. So what does she do here? What did the women's movement do now? So the women's movement now moved in with the abolitionists of slavery to jump in to the civil rights, the civil rights movement, beginning with us back then. This is how they moved in. This is how they got in. Through the suffragist movement, got in through the civil rights movement. Frederick Douglass, a former slave, arguing eloquently on their behalf. All 11 resolutions passed. Oh, we don't need no man. But who was the one arguing the point? Frederick Douglass. In case you don't know who Frederick Douglass was, let me just Google him for a quick second. Yeah, Frederick Douglass. Oh, oops. Is that a black man? Is that a black man, ladies? Brothers? Am I being disingenuous here? Am I lying? Am I being misogynistic because I'm showing the facts and I'm showing the history? Women say they don't need no man, but it was an actual black man at that who helped them push through the 11 resolutions that they wanted through the civil rights movement.
It's over 9,000!
The cap. I don't need no man. Winter is coming. There be sisters on TikTok talking about I don't need no man.
Oh my God!
That's how they be acting. But they don't realize that they've been duped, they've been hoodwinked, they've been bamboozled, they've been brainwashed into believing a fallacy of an ideology that separates them from their very community that seeks to protect them.
Much to learn, you still have.
Let's keep going. Frederick Douglass. All right, let's go back. Where are we? There you go. Feminism. And Moult even won approval of the final declaration for the overthrowing of the monopoly of the pulpit and for the securing to women's equal participation with men in the various trades, profession, and commerce. Yet, by emphasizing education, political rights, there were privileges of the upper classes. The embryotic feminist movement had little connection with ordinary women cleaning houses in Liverpool or picking cotton in Georgia. Who was working in Liverpool and who was working in the cotton fields in Georgia? The feminist, let me read that again, ladies, gentlemen, so we can get some full understanding. Yeah, I'm reading history for you. I just Googled a little something.
Nani?
Something don't sound right here. Let's read it again. Yet, by emphasizing education and political rights, there were the privileges of the you know what? My English, what happened to me? Let me drink some water. Let me slow it right down. One more time. Yet, by emphasizing education and political rights, that were the privileges of the upper classes. What did I just say about 10 minutes ago? The upper classes were the ones that had the privilege of education and involvement or activity. What does it say? What does it say? I hope you guys are reading this here, because this ain't me that's writing this. This ain't Blackmail TV that's writing this. The embryotic, the very foundation, the very birth of the feminist movement. Embryotic. All you ladies here who have had a baby and know how babies are conceived understand what an embryo is, yes? Gentlemen, in the womb, embryo, the feminist movement had little connection with ordinary women cleaning houses in Liverpool or picking cotton in Georgia. Let some modern day black woman now come and speak and say the patriarchy. Something ain't sounding right here, family, right? Something is not sounding right here. Leave your comments in the chat. Do you think something is sounding right here? Do you think that, is this starting to unfold? Are you starting to realize now? Are we starting to see the evidence? Because I'm only just reading this. I'm not even going deep into it. The single non-white woman's voice heard at this time was that of Sojourner Truth, a former slave. The single one. That's where you were. There you go. There's black women now. There you go. There's black women joining the cause. What's this now? How many hundred years later? Fighting the cause. Why? Because you are now transplanted from Africa into Europe, the West, America, the West, the Caribbean, the West, South and Central America, the West. You were transported from Africa to another people's culture. Now you're starting to fight. because it's affecting you now, right? But it's embryotic stage. At the embryotic stage, family, it had nothing to do with you, but yet you promote it. Let's go over here. The original activists, Black feminism and the Black feminist movement, written by Kim, posted in 2021. The tradition of Black feminism stems from the condition of being, listen to this, both Black and a woman. Is it? Let's have a look and see if that's true. Let's go over here. When feminism ignored the needs of Black women, a mighty force was born, founded in the early 1970s. So now we've jumped. Now we're in 1970s now, but I don't want to go too far, right? I want to go back in history and bring you right down to where we are, right? To 1970s, right? Where are we? There we go. I read that. Stacey Chapman, the elite inclination widened the divide between feminists organized and the masses of American women who lived in the house of slums and spoke foreign accents. Okay. Let's have a look. There's a lot of history here, guys. You can go back and read the whole thing for yourself, right? I just want to just grab some of the main bits, right? Because I'll have you guys on here for hours, right? So let's go. I want to go down to the 60s. There we go. So you see how much history I've passed up? I read all of this. Go back and read it and take it for your time. I know you won't, but you know, hey, it is what it is. They say if you want to hide anything from our people, put it in the book. So the second wave of feminism, the women's movement of the 1960s and 70s, the so-called, because there is no second wave, it's still all one thing. The second wave of feminism represented a seemingly abrupt break with the tranquil suburban pictured life in American popular culture. Let me just scroll back a little bit so that you can just understand something, right? Let me read from here. After World War II, this is where the big changes come. After World War II, the war did open up employment opportunities for women. From working in factories, what women? Ladies, whenever you're reading this history, always ask yourself, what women? Were you in World War II fighting? Where were you? Where was your grandmother? Where were your parents? The war did open up employment opportunities for women, from working in factories to playing professional baseball, but these doors of opportunity were largely closed after the war. Why? When women routinely lost their jobs to men because the men came back from the war who had been discharged from the military service. This turn of events angered many women, but few were willing to mount any organized protest. In the United States, the difficulties of the preceding 15 years were followed by a new culture. World War II ended in 1945. 15 years from then, 5 plus 4, added 5 to 45 takes you to 1950. Add another 10, it takes you to 1960, which is where that other article is going to begin, which we're going to go to in a second. But let's read this right quick. In the United States, for example, the difficulties of the preceding 15 years were followed by a culture of domesticity. What was it followed by? A culture of what? Domesticity. So after the women were put into the workplace, they had to be now re-domesticated to understand what it means to be in the house. Why? Because the men came back from the war. Are the men going to now sit at home and rear the children? Is that what the women, is that what they're saying they want to do? Culture is an abstract, learned, shared rules and standards for generating behavior and understanding experience. What were they cultured in? Domesticity. They went from working in the factories to now working in the home. Women began marrying younger and having more children than they had in the 1920s. Why? because we had more modern conveniences. We had the washing machine, the dryer, the iron. Television came on the scene. Such television programs such as Father Knows Best and Ozzie and Harriet reflected what many observers called an idyllic, you can't see me, but in inverted commas, an idyllic suburban life. By the this was between 1945 and 1960, 15 years. By 1960, the percentage of employed female professionals was down compared with the figures for 1930. Well, of course, because during 1930s, the men went to war. But let's keep going. So let's go back to it, right? The second wave of feminism, 1960s, 1970s, represented a seemingly abrupt break with the tranquil suburban life pictured in American popular culture. Yet the roots of the new rebellion were buried in the frustrations of college-educated mothers. Is that true? The roots of the let me highlight it so you can see it. Come on, let's see. The roots of the new rebellion, second wave feminism, were buried in the frustrations of college-educated mothers. I'm a PhD. I wish I had that Kevin Samuels one. I need to get that one. Who were discontented, impelled by their daughters in a new direction. Black women, black men, where were you during the 1960s? Where were you during the 1960s? But they said the roots of the new rebellion was buried in the frustrations of college-educated mothers. Let's see whether that's telling the truth. Let's go back to the article. When feminism ignored the needs of black women. Sisters, y'all know this happened? Did y'all know that feminism ignored you? Or you just hiding behind it because, you just hate men? Did y'all know that? Because first of all, like I just read in the history, it was nothing to do with you. So let's see what happened. How did black women get involved? They said college-educated mothers were enraged. They were in their feelings about this, and they were compelled to do something. Let's hear the truth. In 1969, Barbara Smith decided she wanted to see the world. She was about to graduate from college and didn't have much money, so she decided to get the kind of job that required her to travel. After acing the test to become an airline reservationist, she asked the white man. Who did she ask? I hope you're seeing this right. The who? White man interviewing her about opportunities for her career advancement. That's the way white patriarchy for those people that don't understand that there's a difference, but let's just point that out. There weren't any, he said to her, because she was a woman. 1969. When was the Civil Rights Act passed again? Oh, sorry, family. Let's get some more context before I get into the story. Let's go back. So, let's go back. Smash that like button, guys. If you're enjoying the commentary so far, oh my gosh, look at me. I've got this silly thing on and you're not even seeing it yet. Smash that like button, guys. If you're enjoying the commentary, forgive me. I will put the thing back on. Right? There we go. You see the article now? Let's go over to this one. Right? So, the black feminist, the tradition of black feminism stems from the tradition of being both black and a woman. It characterizes itself by a multidimensional approach to liberation, but is resistant to claiming a specific definition. It focuses on the intersection of racism. Please pay attention to that word. Racism and sexism. Intersection, the points where they cross, right, in society. And how they create the social issues and inequalities black women face. Within it ranges from an intellectual, artistic, philosophical, and activist practice. The core principles that exist among black females include, these are the core principles. Remember, LSG, love plus support equals growth. We have our own principles that we say promote love, family, community, prosperity, heritage, and legacy. The traditional feminist mindset of principles says what? Number one, black women's experience of racism and classism are inseparable, meaning Racism, sexism, and classism cannot be separated for black women, even though you are living in a system that you never founded, created, or managed. Even though your men are living in a system that they neither created, controlled, or managed. But let's keep going. Number 2, these are the principles. The traditional black feminist principles is that their needs, the black woman's needs, and worldviews are distinct from those of black men and white women. Interestingly enough, does it say white men? Do you notice that, people? Does it say white men? It says the traditional black feminist principles is that their needs and their worldviews are distinct from those of black men and white women. But clearly not black men then, right? Not white men then, right? Who's your zaddy? Who's your daddy? Are you seeing it now? Who's your daddy? Who's your daddy? Listen, I know people are going to get triggered by this, right? But I'm sorry, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Truth has to come out tonight because I'm fed up of this foolishness. So if anyone starts talking this nonsense, you can send them this video. Gentlemen, do not engage with women of this mindset. Winter is coming. It's their fall. They've risen during the 60s and 70s, the last 50 years. Now the Great Reset is upon us. It's their fall. And if they don't get with a man, if they don't get with the right mindset, if they don't pick up the right principles, they are going to be left in the cold. Winter is coming. Let's get back over there. I want to read. I want to hear some Shahrazad Ali. Let's hear some Shahrazad, man. She dropping bombs on us, man. Let's hear some Shahrazad Ali, man. Where we at? Okay, here we go. Let's get it there. Oh, hold up. No, let me finish the 2 points and then I'll get it in there. All right, there we go. The third and final one is what? Their principle. There is no contradiction between the struggle against racism, sexism, and all other isms. So who brought in the isms? The whole thing we're finding out nouns and pronouns and genderisms and all the rest. How did that come in? They used you to do it. So while you fight for your black feminism rights, you're also fighting for the other isms. You see what they did? They made their issues your issues. Right? The defining decades. What was happening during the 60s and 70s, family? Civil rights. Where black men and black women were coming together to ask for civil rights, equity, resource. And what did they do? Feminism. Slip right up in there so that you guys can see what. But remember, feminism was going to be what? About equality, right? What's equal about this? What's equal about it? The presence of the black feminist movement. No, before I start reading, let's go back to Shahrazad.
And we don't have nothing to do with the white woman and what she got going with her man. We trying to deal with our own. And as a result of our frustration and our anger, many of our men have left us to go to women of other nationalities because they feel like they can get along with them better. It's not because they're better women, but they haven't suffered the same kind of traumas that we have from childhood growing up, what we saw, what we did, and all of the things we had to go through. And so their mood is better. They ain't mad all the time like us. You know, we be uptight. We have unrealistic expectations, you know, and the unrealistic expectations has been our downfall. We have made up ideas about what a relationship and a husband or a man is supposed to be like. You know, we don't mind having a man as long as he don't act like a man. You know, we could be with him, but if we start coming up in that trying to give some instructions or say how he wants things or what we supposed to do, we go get everybody then. No, you trying to tell me what to do. Somebody need to tell us what to do. It's obvious we don't know what to do. You know, everywhere I go, people say that final thing. we just need to come together. We just need to get in unity. Well, most of us can't get in unity with the people we live with the people we've been with all our life. We can't get in unity with them. So that can't be the total goal. We're going to have forced unity. See, not getting along is a luxury. Being able to disagree, break up, make up, and all of that, that's a luxury. But there will come a time, based on things that we all need to survive, and where we're going to need a man, where we're going to get past a whole lot of what we got going now. It's just going to fade away. Like Trump said, it's going to poof. It'll disappear. It's not going to be there. But for right now, the man's role would be to...
Before she goes into giving the man's role, I want to give a big shout out to Shahrazad. She's dropping bars, man. Look at the elder, man. Look at the elder dropping bars, right? Sisters, you don't want to listen? Okay, don't listen. She told you what's coming. She said it as well, right? She said it herself. It's coming. Winter is coming. And are you getting ready? Are you getting ready? Are you getting yourself suited up? Or are you waiting for a big daddy to save you? Because you're a strong, independent woman, right? Is that what you're waiting for? Shahrazad dropping bars, man. Let me see some of the comments. Because you guys, smash that like button. You see what I'm saying? Ooh. House of Bloom says, so rich, aristocratic European women who were rebelling against their class and social structures and their oppressive patriarchal systems got black working class women in on their movement. Exactly. So, sisters, you're not that strong black independent woman. You're not perpetuating nothing that's yours. You're perpetuating a European agenda. And then you're perpetuating amongst your community, and then you're wondering why nothing's being built. You're wondering why the children are coming out the way they're coming out. You're wondering why there's single parent households, and you wonder why your men are running out away from you. You're pushing a European agenda that has nothing and never had anything to do with you. Nothing. I want to share this screen real quick. Let me play this video real quick. 1 second. Here we go. Here we go. Nope, that's not the one. Let me get the right one for you. There we go. That should be it there. There we go. All right, I'm going to just take 5. You guys watch this video real quick. Right? Big shout out to, I'm not going to name the name of the channel, but listen to the video.
Feminism for the 21st century. There are 3 pillars to this new feminism: dignity, the word no, and men. That's right, men. But before I expound on these 3 ideas, you need to know something about me. I was very involved in the feminist movement, including being on the board of directors of the National Organization for Women. For this, I feel much pride and some guilt. Pride because feminism has pushed forward some very important and needed changes, and guilt because it has also done a lot of damage. My work now is to reverse that damage. So in that spirit, let's talk about the first pillar of this new feminism: dignity. Dignity is at the core of what feminism should always be about. Dignity means that a woman should be able to freely choose her own path in life. That's what feminism once held. But does it still? Ask almost any female college student today what she aspires to be, and she'll list any number of career choices. The one she won't list is wife and mother. In fact, anytime someone has the temerity to suggest that a woman might want to look for a husband while in college, as a very successful Princeton grad recently did in a letter to the school's newspaper, feminists go nuts. A new feminism will value and respect all responsible choices. And while we're talking about dignity, I can't think of anything less dignified for women than the feminist belief that in the sexual arena, women are like and therefore ought to act like men. Is this what the truly liberated woman wants? To have casual sex and think nothing of it like men do? That's what feminism aspires to? Sad to say, the answer has too often been yes. So let's add this up. Feminism has downplayed the desire for women to have a family, while at the same time hyping the rewards of career and casual sex.
Pause. What did Shahrazad Ali say? Family, what did she say? Let's look it up. Let's put it up real quick. Let's put it up.
They didn't tell us that if you give up the man, you're going to take one of these things and it's worse and it will destroy your nation. They didn't give us that information. They made us think that it was some kind of glorified position to brag about the fact that I got my own job, my own credit card, my own car, so I don't need no man. I don't even know how we got that mixed up. Ain't none of that got nothing to do with being with no man. You know, we talk about the great strength that we have as black women. Well, the welfare department don't rent government apartments to single black men. Those apartments belong to black women who are...
Okay, let's go back into it. So, you heard what the feminist said, right? You heard what Shahrazad Ali said, right? Let's get back into the video.
Not exactly a recipe for success or happiness.
So, they are pushing women to be like men, downplay the desire for women to have a family. Now, people, let's just get one thing clear. We cannot have any sort of reparations, black building community, Pan-Africanist movement, freedom of self, sovereignty, anything that you ADOS, all that nonsense, Hebrew Israelites, none of that. It's all horseshit. Yes, I swore, excuse me. Horseshit, I'll say it again. This video is not for kids right now.
I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
That's right. It's a fire going up in here.
Y'all niggas are stupid, bro. Like,
because we keep family is the fundamental foundation of any building block, gentlemen. Any building block. You are the head. She's the neck. The children are the body. And if you do not have a family, then we do not have a community. We just have a bunch of single people walking around the place. We just have a bunch of single people walking around the place. Is that what we want for our community? LSG mindset.
Yes, or happiness. The second pillar of a new feminism is the word no. It's very much tied in with the first pillar. Throughout history, women have made great use of the word no.
No.
Of course, many times women said yes when they should have said no. And that's the basis of more than a few classic stories and novels. But this was the exception, not the rule. There is great power in that word no, and women, for the most part, knew how to wield that power. But in the last few decades, they've lost.
Women knew how to wield that power. So this whole notion that women were helpless creatures and just unable to do anything because, taken advantage of, but they knew how to say no. And because they had a patriarchal system, if a woman was defiled by a man and she had a father, a brother, an uncle, or somebody, they would come out and do something. Remember what they used to call a duel in the French, right? When they would come out and then two men would come out and point guns at each other and walk 10 paces, right? Walk 10 paces, turn around and shoot each other. A lot of those things were for honor. And more times than not, those things involve the woman. Most of the time. But hey, we just be playing games out here, adopting ideologies that don't belong to us. Let's keep going.
Lost it. And the consequences have been catastrophic. Women who fought not to be treated as sex objects have become more objectified than ever. You see it everywhere, in music videos, on billboards, in the hookup culture, on campuses. And now we have the tawdry spectacle of teenage girls sexually pursuing teenage boys the way boys pursued girls. How did this happen? Because feminism began to advocate that women should behave like men. Whatever men did and however they did it, that's what women should do.
So hold on, you're not trying to be equal to men. You're trying to be men. This is a new revelation. Hold on a second. Ladies, did you know this? Did you know that the feminist movement was not about being equal, but was about you trying to be men? Now look at how the women are acting all masculine. Does it make sense now? Does it make sense now why you don't know how to cook, you don't know how to clean? Does it make sense now that you don't know how to raise your children properly? Is it making sense now? Are we seeing the hoodwink? Are we seeing the destruction? Are we seeing the lie? How did this happen? Because feminism began to advocate that women should behave like men. Whatever men did and however men did it, that's what women should do. Pause. Let's go back over here. Back to the article. I'm going to read the second paragraph down here. In the 1960s and 70s, lit a spark in the movement because of, the arousal and growing tensions between the women's liberation movement and the civil rights movement. Why? You see what happened? They used the women to cause a rift between us so that we would not be able to have a cohesive and structured sovereign movement in the civil rights. They brought women's liberation in. So while the women left the table, you see why I say women left the table? Black women, you left the table. You joined the women's liberation movement instead of the civil rights movement. Second wave of feminism turned a blind eye towards the needs and struggles of Black queer women. Second wave feminism, remember they ignored Black women. Now they're talking about gay Black women. Andre Lorde said, white women fail feminism in their refusal to recognize differences and to examine the distortions which result from misnaming them, with steps being made that further separated the two groups. Black women set out to build their own movement. Why? Because, back to the article over here, when feminism ignored the needs of Black women, a mighty force was born. Founded when? 1970s. Back to the article again. 1960s to 1970s lit a spark in the movement because of what? Growing tensions between who? Women's liberation movement, civil rights movement. They got the Black women to separate from the civil rights movement, and when the Black women went with the women's liberation movement, they treated them like dog poo. That's what they did to you, ladies. They treated you like dog poo. And Black women are sitting there all what? So instead of going back to their men, what did they decide to do? They decided to go form their own group. That's what they did. This is the history. This is the history. Right? Let's see. Black women set out to build their own movement, separating from mainstream white-dominated women's liberation movement and deploying Black feminists centralized around intersectionality. Here's this word again. Paulie Murray. Who is this person? A founding figure of the separation and upliftment of Black feminist movement in the 1960s and 70s was Paulie Murray, a Black queer feminist. I'm reading the article. This article is from now.org blog, the original feminist, Black feminist, and the Black feminist movement. The link is down below in the description box. You can read the whole article for yourself. So this feminist, who is in the homosexual category, is a civil rights lawyer, priest, and co-founder of NOW, N-O-W, which is what I'm reading from. She played an important role in civil rights, social, and legal, let me highlight it so you know where I'm reading, organizations during the rise of the Black feminist movement during the 1960s and 70s. Mainly, she theorized theories and wrote about the intersection, again, the cross sections where gender, race, and sexuality meet, sharing her experiences of Black womanhood and asserting that her identifiers could not be separated, an ideology that fueled her legal work and activism. That's what she did, right? Remember, this was a queer black woman. So she's not advocating for straight black women. She's advocating for, let's see. Let me jump back to this article now, because now we've reached 1989. Let me just read this article not all of it. I'm just going to read certain sections of it so you can get an idea of what's going on. Because they said the feminist movement took place and happened when what? College-educated mothers were up in arms because they wanted to resolve this issue that was happening amongst the community, right? So let's see if that's true. Let's go over here. In 1969, Barbara decided she wanted to see the world. She was about to graduate from college and didn't have much money. This is not a mother. This is a single black woman so far. So she decided to get the kind of job that required her to travel. After acing the test to become an airline reservationist, let me just make sure my sound is good. Can you hear me? Okay. She asked the white man, again, white patriarchy, interviewing her about her opportunities for career advancement. He said there weren't any because she was a woman. In some ways, it was the best thing that could have happened to Barbara Smith. She wasn't just a woman. She was also a black woman and a lesbian. And she knew that these facts were created a unique web of oppression. The fact that she was black, a woman, and a lesbian, again, her sexuality, gender, and race, these facts created a unique web of oppression, that was different. Let me just highlight this for you guys so you guys can read it. Her unique web of oppression was different from the experiences of a straight white woman or a black man. Again, a separation from the black man. And this woman is a lesbian. So is her interest going to be in black men? No. Is her interest going to be in black men, sisters? For those of you that like black men?
Nani?
Something should be She don't like men. She's a lesbian. So let's read a bit more. Let's get a bit more, sisters. I hope you guys like men, right? Because we're talking to the fellas out here. Gentlemen, are you seeing what's coming? Are you seeing why the women are behaving the way they're behaving? Why? Because the movement came from, this movement here is now being born from what? A woman who's a what? Doesn't like men. She was involved in the anti-war movement, right? She was involved in the anti-war movement and attended Mount Holyoke College, right, etc., etc. In response, she would channel her because she got turned down. She would channel her full attention to organizing and activism, focusing particularly on the complex nexus of issues that women of color face. Barbara and her twin sister Beverly, who had gotten involved in the racial equality movement, again for civil rights in Ohio, joined the National Black Feminist Organization in the early 70s, where they were met by a woman called Demeter Frazier, who'd been a Black Panther in Chicago. Before long, the trio, 3 women. Doesn't that sound like Black Lives Matter? 3 women again. You're getting hoodwinked. They're repeating the same thing over and over and over again, and you're still drinking the same Kool-Aid. These 3 women formed an organization. The organization in the early 70s, the trio, before long, grew frustrated with the NBFO's lack of funds and resistance to radical politics. In 1974, they decided to start their own group. The group, a Black feminist lesbian activist group, the CRC, would coin now the ambiguous term identity politics. That was coined back in the 70s, but we're talking about it today. And overhaul the discussion on the intersection of race, gender, and class. You see where this came from? Let's go back to the other article. Intersectionality. Today, we continue Murray's beliefs of intersectionality, which was born from what? A Black woman who was a lesbian. So her agenda and her experiences and her ideology is what modern women are adopting today. Now, if this is a lesbian that's adopting this ideology, now do you think it makes sense why this is the case?
Behave like men. How did this happen? Because feminism began to advocate that women should behave like men. Whatever men did and however they did it, that's what women should do. Feminists were angry at men, but they wanted to be like them at the same time. No wonder our society is so confused. Women are robbing themselves of the ability to say no. The solution is to take that power back. This is especially true for young women. Saying no means I will not be defined by anyone else, not by feminists, and not by men's sexual desires. That is female power. This is a good segue to my third pillar of a new feminism, men. It is easy for feminists to forget this, but it was men who gave up their monopoly on political power and gave women the right to vote. Men who invented birth control, the refrigerator, the washing machine, and so many other devices that liberated women.
But women don't need men though. So sorry, we gotta pause here. Where the women that say I don't need no man? Where they at?
Ain't nobody got time for that.
The history books are showing you something. And
you assuming I'm a human. What I gotta do to get it through to you? I'm superhuman, innovative, and I made a rebel so that anything you.
I'm a strong, black, independent woman. What? Washing machines were invented by men. Refrigerators were invented by men. Irons were invented by men. What? The modern conveniences that you have that allow you to be a strong, independent black woman where you don't need to be at home doing all the housework and to make it easier for you was created by men. But you don't need no man, right? That's a cat.
It's over 9,000!
Damn!
Yeah, I told you this was going to be a kicker. This is going to be a trigger video. Yeah, I told you it's going to be a trigger video. Now, after you know this, and after you understand this, if you are not making active efforts to change your mindset, then I'm sorry, but there's only one thing left for you.
The problem with people like this is that they are so stupid that they have no idea how stupid they are. You see, if you're very, very stupid, how can you possibly realize that you're very, very stupid?
Much to learn, you still have.
All right, let's finish the video up.
And men are different from women. Academics like to speculate that men and women are basically the same, that they're only socialized differently. But as George Orwell famously noted, that's an idea that only an intellectual would be foolish enough to believe. Moreover, the sexes need each other. For example, women civilize men. It's what we're supposed to do. But in order to accomplish this critical task, we must preserve our dignity, not be afraid to use the word no, and see men as partners, not as competitors, let alone oppressors. That's the way to a new feminism and the way to a better world for both sexes. I'm Tammy Bruce for Prager University.
Thank you, Tammy. And we're going to take Tammy out of the way real quick. And let's go back to our article that we were reading, right? So, the intersectionality, this is what it all stems from, right? Today, we continue Murray's beliefs of intersectionality. The term was formally introduced by the legal scholar Kimberly Crenshaw in 1989. Although the concept has been described by activists many times before, it refers to the complex way in which gender, race, and other social categories interact to influence an individual's outcome. As she says in her paper, Mapping the Margins, Intersectional Identity Politics and Violence Against Women of Color, this is what she's mapping out. When feminism, let me highlight this for you. When feminism does not explicitly oppose racism, and when anti-racism does not incorporate opposition to the patriarchy, race and gender politics often end up being antagonistic to each other, and both interests lose. By the end By the end of the 20th century and into the 21st century, the black feminists shifted from being grounded in black heterosexual women to a radical feminist focusing on what? Queer and trans black women, girls, and gender non-conforming people. It switched. So ladies, now do you understand why I'm saying to the gentlemen, don't deal with women of this mindset? Ladies, the original feminism was still about heterosexual couples, family, children, LSG marriage, LSG business, LSG lifestyle, love plus support equals growth. Group economics, interdependent mindset, trust, truth, honesty, integrity, accountability, building back our community. But what has the feminist movement transformed into? What is it transformed into? It says here in this article, queer and trans black women's, girls, and gender non-conforming peoples. Crenshaw states black women are differently situated in the economy, social, and political world. So you've separated yourself from the black man. The black man didn't separate you. The black man didn't leave you. You left your black man. Can you swallow that pill, ladies? That's why Kevin Samuels is saying you ladies have to come back to the table. The war is over, ladies. The results are in. The stats are in. So we only want to deal with the women that are ready to have families, that want to be wives, that want to be mothers. You want to be strong, independent woman? Please leave this platform. You can be a beneficiary, but you can't contribute. Because as it states in the video we just watched, you're trying to be the man. And if the woman is trying to be the man, what do you want the man to be? But yet we all complain, the men are effeminate, the men are effeminate. But you're masculine. But you're masculine. House of Bloom says, we left the civil rights, black man and woman liberation movement to move independently as black women and to have black feminist movements seek to separate, then become superior to the black man. Femi says, damn. Yeah, big shout out to Femi and the family. Yeah, I know, sis. It's cold. It's cold. Winter is coming. House of Bloom says, when winter comes and the she session hits, a lot of the first world feminist issues on modern black women have been conjuring up for themselves will fall away fast. Yes, they will. And to add to that, let's go back to Shahrazad Ali.
Protect and provide. Now, when we say provide, that don't mean buy you every kind of weave you want that costs $800 or $900. It don't mean buy you every kind of Gucci and Fendi and Louis Vuitton. That ain't what provide means. He's going to provide direction and guidance, love, affection, discipline for our children, and help with all of those kind of things. Provide ideas. See, one of our problems as black women is that we ain't got nothing to do.
You see, gentlemen, and that's why I teach you on this platform about male leadership, about masculinity, surface level masculinity, core level masculinity, spiritual level masculinity, making sure your foundation of the 4 P's are correct. Because you are the provider, not just financially. You're a provider mentally, spiritually, lovingly. The women seek love. And I didn't understand this until I got to a particular age. Women aren't the lovers. They're seeking the love. So if they're seeking the love, who are they seeking it from? You. Gentlemen, you are the lovers. It says it in the scriptures. You are the lovers. And you're meant to give that love unto the woman. But you're meant to be in your masculine first to be able to do that. And she has to be in her feminine to be able to receive that. I know this is going to go above some people's heads because we're living in the age of mediocrity and low-level IQ. But if you're understanding what I'm saying, if this is penetrating through to your mind and into your spirit and it's touching you in your bones and in your marrow and the vibration of my voice and the words that I'm speaking are reaching out to you, then you need to make the change in yourself. This is your time to be awakened. This is your time to be called. This is your time to step forward. This is your time to shine. The ratchetness, the whoredom, the foolishness, the idiocy, the ratchetness, it needs to be put to the side. That black culture is not who we are. We must adopt a different mindset, a different being, and a different purpose. Let me throw it back to the elder.
You know, than work for white people, we don't have too much to do. You know, I go to the church, and many of us treat the people at the church and the minister like we should be treating our man at home. So, you know, we have it all mixed up. So those are some of the things that the man needs to do. He needs to not let women let us get away with things, because the moment we get away with sneaking a line, or we really open it up and do that a lot more because we think we've got him tricked. And that's one of the reasons that so many black women were angry with me for putting out the Black Man's Guide to Understand the Black Woman, because our men needed a heads up. And even with that, it's hard for them. But they just have certain information they don't have about us that keeps them confused and makes them reject us and go to someplace else. He's outside looking for peace of mind. Yeah, because we're not that familiar with peace. We're just familiar with getting dressed up and putting on eyelashes and, you know, maybe even going to school. More of us are graduating from college. More of us are getting PhDs. You know, we got good credit cards. We got a whole lot of things, cars, but it hasn't made us happy. We're still sitting around talking about why we don't have companionship, which is the ultimate goal. It don't have to be marriage. It can just be some good companionship, you know, because we're alone. So with our women, one of the first things we need to deal with is nutrition. Women historically have been assigned that duty and have accepted that role because food, as I said, is what sustains life. And eating the proper food, we can decide how long our men and our women live.
Hold on a second. Let's see. This is why you need to listen to the elders when they speak. But remember, us says like, you can't tell me nothing. Don't tell me nothing. Brothers, you come across a woman that speaks like that and moves with that mentality, you need to, well, you know what time it is, isn't it? This is how you need to react. You need to be moving from that woman and focusing your mind on the women that do understand the power of cooking. Because women talking about, I don't want to cook, I don't want to clean, I don't want to... Listen to what the elder says. Cooking and maintaining the food for your family, you are nourishing the next generation. Not only are you nourishing your man, your husband, your head, your leader, your lover, your inspiration, you're nurturing him and nourishing him by the food that you are preparing for him with love. Ain't no poison going in there. Ain't no GMO going in there. Then you're nourishing your children. But you don't want to cook. You don't want to. I don't want to do that for no man. I want to do that for no man. What did the elder say?
Good companionship. You know, because we're alone. So with our women, one of the first things we need to deal with is nutrition. Women historically have been assigned that duty and have accepted that role because
assigned that duty and have accepted that role. Because if I've gone out and cooked the wildebeest, you want me to come home now and after I've skinned it and de-haired it and blood it out and everything, you want me to come home now and start cooking it? Ladies, you are trying to be the man when you adopt this mindset. Fellas, when you come across a woman with this mindset, run away. Ladies, if you're a woman with this type of masculine mindset where you don't want to cook, you don't want to clean, you don't want to nurture for your children, for your man, for your family, then you are going to die alone. That's what's going to happen. You need to leave, run. Listen, fellas, I told you, I'll say it again. You come across a woman that thinks like this. The moment she says, I don't cook, I don't clean, I don't do none of this for a man.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
And when they ask you why she running, you say, I'm running away because what? Listen, yo.
Food, as I said, is what sustains life. And eating the proper food, we can decide how long our men and our women live. And our children. That's just what we feed them. And so eating out every day, while it's convenient, because we're giving our all of our energy to the white people on the job. So when we come home, we're tired. So it's easier to pick up McDonald's or some other kind of junk and bring it home and feed it to our children until our children get so accustomed to eating it that they don't even want good food. They don't want vegetables. That's who we have been unjust to ourselves. And so we can set a better example. And just cooking. I talk about cooking all the time. I don't know how so many of us have missed that. Cooking food and invite somebody over for dinner. You have somebody at least for some company sometimes.
Now you understand where the saying comes, you can catch more flies with honey than with vinegar, right? Because if you want to catch a man, you remember the saying that used to say, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. This is why you had the women, they had this saying, because women understood that when a man came back from a hard day's work, the first thing that he wants to do is chow down. I want to eat me some food. So this is how women used to get men back in the day, making that nice pie, baking, cooking a meal. You see what I'm saying? Leaving it on the window so that the smell is going down the street. Brother be like, oh, damn, what's going on? But these women have lost this art. Why? Because they're trying to be you. And unless you're trying to be a woman, bro, you don't need to be around these type of women because they are delusional. They have lost their mind. They have been brainwashed and hoodwinked into believing a narrative, and they're too prideful. They can't handle it. They don't want to humble themselves and take the walk of shame.
Shame. Shame.
They don't want to do it. Excuse me, they don't want to do it. But winter is coming. Winter is coming. Let's get back into it.
Most of our men are lined up every evening somewhere to buy some kind of filthy, greasy food because they don't have nothing to eat. I talked to a young brother the other day. He told me he don't even know no women that cook. Start with his mother. Yeah, you ain't surprised at that. In fact, many of our women don't cook, and they go around saying they think it's something to be proud of. I don't cook. They brag on it. Many of our young girls can't boil water, can't boil an egg, can't do anything, and they think that's cute because we don't have mothers in the community anymore as much teaching how to cook. We buy everything out. We don't know what we eat. Snails, raccoons, squirrels. We don't know how to identify meat. And so we, as women, our role needs to be satisfied with less. Stop trying to keep up with everybody else who don't own nothing, but try to buy everything that the enemy and the Asians make. We need to pull back some from that. You know, we think that our men only like us for how we dress or our eyelashes or our fake breasts or buttocks and all of that. That's not what they're looking for in us. And so we keep them so sexually stimulated, overstimulated, that they don't have time to consider anything else about us because we think that's the only way to get a man and that's the only value that we have. We have other great values. We are the queen of the universe, the mother of civilization. And so we have other things to teach us. But our women need to lower their dress, stop going out naked, trying to get attention from.
Stop going out naked, trying to get attention from what? Sister, yo, stop dressing. What? Changing your behavior, changing your habits, and changing your morals, your principles. That's what it is. She told you got to stop getting naked.
Damn! Strange men. Our women need to control their sexual drive because we'll do anything, go crazy when we have that on us, you know. And someone won't do. It's just anything. So we need to pull that back some and come down from so much throwing sex on our men.
Stop it. Get some help.
Consider something else. They don't have the kind of discipline that'll keep them from going for that. So we need to be in the mother, the first one that touch all of the people on the earth. That's what a mother does. We need to set a different example.
Much to learn, you still have.
We need to start dressing our children more modest. You can't wait till your daughter gets 14 to tell her to stop wearing halter tops and booty shorts. You can't do that. You got to start her when she's a tiny little child.
No, God!
About being modest, you know, and how to dress. And so people say all the time to me, yeah, you talking all that old school. Now I'm talking about what worked. Because what y'all got going is not working. Our women are overweight. We big and fat and try to convince somebody that looks good. Our men are overweight. Now you're talking about high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease. And so the stress of racism in this country already puts that on us. We're 17, 18 generations up from slavery. And as I said, that's why I wrote that book, Are You Still a Slave? To help us to understand that we're still practicing the same behavior. And we're not always forced to, but as long as we practice the same behaviors that we do and go for the things we go for, then the enemy understands that they still have control over us.
And there it is right there. And there it is right there, gentlemen. That's why you should not be with these type of women, because these type of women are working for Big Daddy. They're working for Big Daddy. They're his woman. That's their woman. Right? We read the articles. We went through the history. We had a look. You see what I'm saying? Now, let me just read this last part of the article, and then we'll finish on the articles part for tonight. But I put all the articles there for you if you want to go read them at your own leisure. You see what I'm saying? Just to get a better understanding, of what took place, what happened, and what's really going on behind the scenes, and why you can't find a man, ladies, and why men, you can't find suitable women to be your wife, because they're trying to be men. They've been indoctrinated, they've been taught, they've been programmed. So if you come across a woman that has this mindset and she's willing to listen and willing to learn, then you can share this video with her. Right? But let me finish this. Feminist groups. Within the Black feminist movement and even beforehand, there was a club movement, the sisterhood, the creation of feminist groups, women's clubs, and Black sororities that continued the ideals of the Black feminist movement even till today. By this time, middle-class Black women organized social and political reform through women's organizations or clubs, but they affected the movement even beforehand. The well-known motto for Black women's activism in the late 19th century was "lifting as we climb," stems from the slogan of the National Association of Colored Women. In 1973, the Black feminists identifying as queer were at the forefront. So heterosexual Black women were now pushed to the back. Were at the forefront of Black feminist groups, as well as creating their own organizations within the movement. These organizations include the National Black Feminist Organization, Salsa Soul Sisters, one of the first out and explicitly multicultural lesbian organizations, and influential Combahee River Collective. Okay, are you noticing the trend here? From the creation of the Black women's clubs and mutual aid societies came the creation of Black sororities. This is what's taking place in the colleges, and this is why this ideology is very prevalent amongst the women of younger age groups, and they get in there very young to sow the seed of this division amongst them and their community, both in the white Caucasian community, but especially in our community. The Black sorority resemblances of the first organizations that sought to combat racism and discrimination. These sororities stand strong today and carry on the tradition of creating change. In the 7 women Kamala Harris saluted in her speech at the 2020 DNC convention, all but 2 belong to Black sororities. Harris herself mentioned her own, saying, "Family is my beloved, Alpha Kappa Alpha," allowing for communities of resistance in which Black women can not only survive, but achieve, refute stereotypes, and fight gender racism. Black feminism today, and this is where the article ends, right? Today, the marks of Black women and the impact of the Black feminist movement are seen all around us. All around us. So all these women coming with this victim mentality, y'all need to stop that BS. Yeah? We see through you. We see you. We see you. Right? We see you. You left the table. The history's there. It's there. Go back and watch the whole video. Right? Black women have been central to the movements we see today. Third wave feminism, the Me Too movement, and the Black Lives Matter movement, which was a reference to the other movement that happened in the 70s. Although the hashtag Me Too began gaining following in recent years, the phrase itself was first introduced in 2006 by an African-American sexual assault survivor and activist, Tarana Burke, raising awareness specifically for marginalized victims. Not everyone. Black women have been fighting this battle, they say, for decades, being at higher risk of sexual violence than their white counterparts. Where's the evidence? No evidence. Considering that Black people had an 80% family rate before the 1960s, where's the evidence of sexual violence? But we read a whole bunch of European history, and now all of a sudden, black women are in the violence now. Again, coming from who? Lesbian feminists, who, might add, don't like black men. And they're black women who are lesbian, they don't like black men. But, you know, I'm just a normal guy. What do I know, right? Last part. Even the Black Lives Matter movement, which specifically stated on its website, and I saw it with my own two eyes, that it's for everybody else in the black community but men, black men. Black Lives Matter is rooted in the acknowledgement of intersectionality, which we read earlier. The movement focuses to see the interlocking systems of oppression that operate in our lives. Black Lives Matter's inclusive nature and coverage of a wide range of topics show its basis of black feminism. Black Lives Matter, address the issues of heterosexual black men and women. That's a lie, because we've just read the history that says that they've pushed the LGBT to the front of the community. And when you go onto the Black Lives Matter website, actually, matter of fact, let's see if it's still there or if they've actually changed it now, right? Black Lives Matter. Let's see. I'm just curious because I have seen it the last time when it came out, but I don't know if they have changed it now because they got a lot of backlash from it, right? So let's go to the About page. I hope you guys can see where I'm at. Let's go to the About page. Let's go down. Oh, no. Help us fight disinformation. News about Black Lives Matter. Here we go. Okay. Yada, 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 yada. Okay, where is it? Let's go. Since we are expansive, liberators who believe in inclusive, spacious movement, we also believe in women and people as the proof, blah, 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 blah. We affirm, okay, here we go. We affirm the lives, here we go. We affirm the lives of black, queer, trans folk, disabled folks, undocumented folks, folks with records, women, and all black lives along the gender spectrum. All black lives among the gender spectrum. But their first and primary goal, as the article said earlier, is what? To push at the forefront, what? LGBT. So they're not pushing black women as a whole or heterosexual black women. They're pushing LGBT. But in this article, they say they address the issues of heterosexual black men and women as well as issues of black LGBTQ men and women, as if to say that's a secondary, but that's the primary. This can be accredited to the three women that co-founded the movement, which are similar to the three women that co-founded the other movement in the other article in the 1970s. So what you have, ladies and gentlemen, is a hoodwink, a bamboozle, a sideswipe, misdirection. Why? To keep you separated from your family so that you do not grow, prosper, have legacy, have children, manifest wealth, riches, and the things that are desired and kept on for us. It's a delusion. And a false delusion.
Hi, I'm Dr. Tracy Marks, and I make mental health education videos. A delusion is a fixed false belief. And despite evidence that goes against what you believe, you still believe it.
You need to wake up from that delusion. Otherwise, you're going to be left out, and winter's coming.
I think the problem with people like this is that they are so stupid that they have no idea how stupid they are.
All right, family. I want to hold it there for a second and read some of the commentary because I think I've been going on 2 hours now, and you guys need to get some rest. It's late night, but this is why it's called Nightly Notions. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to show you another video actually, which is only 3 minutes, but I think I'll finish on that video. All right, and just destroy some myths and legends that's being shown. So let me take these off the screen. But no, I really appreciate you guys coming in the conversation and leaving all the comments. Let me go back. Wow, you lot have left so many comments. I don't know if I'll be able to go. Big shout out to House of Balloons, Royal Rising, Femi, You guys been just be in the chat, you know what I'm saying, and keeping the conversations going. Like the video, guys. Smash that like video. You can only get the content out if you're liking it and if you're sharing it and subscribing to the channel. All right. Brother says, I'm going on a feminist diet. I can only eat male cows. That's funny. Greetings to the brother. Appreciate you coming on the platform. Make sure you jump back next time. You are more than welcome. Or was it a woman or a man? Oh, it's a man. Yeah. It's a man. Sorry, bro. Your hair was just all up. You got that quiff going on there. I was like, what's going on here? But yeah, we love it. We love it. We love it. But yeah, okay. So let me not keep it too long. I want to finish off with this last video. Let you guys watch it. And basically, yeah, I'm going to be out. Remember, guys, it's about having a new mindset. It's about having new principles. It's about having new way of living. Because what's coming? Winter is coming. And when winter hits, these ladies are going to be begging to come into your house, to come into your castle, to come into your area. And if they're not of the right mindset and they're still thinking like this, they're going to destroy you. And you don't want to be left out in the winter that's coming. I'm going to talk about that a little while later, but let me leave you with this video and then we're going to sign out.
Are women superior to men? A never-ending succession of books and news stories suggest they are. How many times have you heard that women are wiser, kinder, more efficient, just all-round better human beings? Well, let's look at the evidence. That's coming up next on The Factual Feminist. Now, it used to be fashionable to celebrate men's alleged superiority over women. Many of the great philosophers, Aristotle, Kant, Rousseau, Nietzsche, they deemed women intellectually inferior to men. But today, there's a new kind of reverse.
I just want to pause that right there, right? And understand who thought women were inferior to men. I hope you saw that, right? Again, another patriarchy that has nothing to do with our particular community. Again, no shade at the Europeans. I'm just reading some facts here. This was their mindset. Why are you adopting their mindset when you're trying to say you're not those people? Something's not adding up here.
Deemed women intellectually inferior to men. But today, there's a new kind of reverse female chauvinism that prevails. It is so common that social scientists have given it a name, the women are wonderful phenomenon, or WA for short. Well, here's a sample of recent WA headlines. Well, let's consider some claims of female superiority. Take multitasking. I mean, how many times have you heard that women are much better at multitasking than men? The British writer Sir Ken Robinson, in one of the most watched TED Talks of all time, referred to a raft of research that showed women's superiority in multitasking. But where is this research? What we actually have is a handful of small, inconclusive, inconsistent studies. Now, some show women are better, but others show that it's men who excel. Thomas Busser, a researcher at the University of Amsterdam, took a careful look at the data and concluded that as far as gender differences are concerned, we just don't find either men or women excelling. It's a mix. It turns out that neither sex is particularly good at focusing on more than one thing at once. Well, what about niceness? It's often said that women are kinder than men, and the film critic Roger Ebert praised women to the skies for their kindness and generosity and hoped that they would take over the world. We'd all be better off. Well, is he right? Well, when it comes to generosity, kindness, altruism, once again, you find a lot of conflicting studies. But one of the most thorough and careful surveys was carried out by Tom Smith and his team at the National Opinion Research Center at the University of Chicago. Smith and his team asked questions that included both male and female styles of altruism, because women tend to adopt nurturing and caring roles towards people more than men, while men excel at good deeds and acts of kindness involving strangers. So in Smith's survey, women proved to be more empathetic than men. They were more likely to feel pity for others and to describe themselves as soft-hearted. But when it came to the empirically critical measure of generosity, how much do you actually do for others? The results were different. When Smith and his colleagues tallied up the results, they found that the score was even. Gender, Smith concluded, is not notably related to altruistic behaviors. Advantage, neither sex.
So, women are neither more empathetic than men are, neither more nicer and generous than men are, but it's on a balance of personalities and probabilities, how you were raised, your environment, etc., etc. So to place those things on gender, what the results are saying is those are false. Other false fallacies that the feminists push.
Sexes have their graces and their own styles of being virtuous. Neither has a monopoly on good or evil. How did we lose sight of this obvious truth? Because we live in the age of wa. The rules of women are wonderful. This is a game, and it's impossible for men to win, because if women do something better than men, that's just evidence of their innate superiority. But if men outperform women, that's proof of discrimination, retrograde patriarchy, or toxic masculinity. And to violate the spirit of wa is to invite havoc. I mean, suggest, as the former president of Harvard, Larry Summers, once did, that men have some innate advantages in math or spatial reasoning. Well, prepare to change your job. But write a book that's entitled, Are Men Necessary? The End of Men, Men Down, Women Are from Venus, Men Are from Hell, and the gods of the zeitgeist smile. The answer to male supremacy is not female supremacy. The answer is equality, mutual regard, and respect. Let's try that. Are you and anyone you know under the spell of wa? Let me know in the comments section. Please follow.
You know what? I really appreciate that video. She was bang on with that video, I would say. You see what I'm saying? She definitely, you know, gave us one. I'm gonna have to give you one more. Let me just give you one more, and then we're gonna call it a night, because she definitely took the bar. So let me just give you this last one. Same woman again. Short video. Fair use.
About the plight of American women is false, and some phony claims have been repeated so often they're almost beyond the reach of critical analysis. Coming up next on The Factual Feminist, 5 feminist myths that will not die. Myth number 1. Women are half the world's population, working 2/3 of the world's working hours, receiving 10% of the world's income, and owning less than 1% of the world's property. Well, this faux fact is routinely quoted by advocacy groups, by the World Bank, Oxfam, the United Nations, but it's a fabrication. More than 15 years ago, 2 Sussex University experts on gender and development explained that the slogan was simply made up by somebody at the UN back in the 80s. And it just seemed sort of right to that person. There's no evidence that it was ever accurate, and it's certainly not accurate today. In Africa, for example, Yale economist Cheryl Doss found that female land ownership ranged from 11% in Senegal to 54% in Rwanda and Burundi. Next one.
Now, let me just hold on right there. This is in Africa. Women owning land in Africa. But you would hear these ADOS females, fake Pan-Africanist, hotep hustlers come out and tell you, these pandalers come out and tell you, oh, the women in Africa are being oppressed. Yes, there's oppression everywhere in the world. Yes, women don't have the same rights as men in a lot of parts of the world. But this particular fact is incorrect and is a lie. You're being lied to on a daily basis. So, gentlemen, you already know what time it is. You come across a woman that has this mindset, that speaks like this, don't waste your time. Get out.
Between 100,000 and 300,000 girls are sold into slavery each year in the United States.
That's a big one. Let's go back.
Each year, between 100,000 and 300,000 girls are sold into slavery each year in the United States. Now, this sensational claim is a favorite of celebrities, journalists, advocates, politicians, both conservative and liberal, by the way. The source for the figure is a 2001 report on child sexual exploitation. But that 100 to 300,000 figure referred to children at risk for exploitation, not actual victims. And as one of the authors made clear in an email exchange that he had with the Village Voice, the actual number of children abducted and pressed into sexual slavery is, quote, a few hundred. That's still 100 too many, but they're not going to be helped by 1,000-fold inflation of the number. Next myth. In the United States, 22 to 35% of women who visit emergency rooms do so because of domestic violence. Now, this claim has appeared in countless fact sheets, books, articles. It's in the Penguin Atlas on Women. They use this emergency room figure to justify placing the United States on par with Uganda and Haiti for intimate violence. Well, what is the source? It seems that several feminist scholars misunderstood a 1997 study by the Justice Department. The correct figure is not 22 to 35%, but get ready, less than 1/2 of 1%. Next myth. 1 in 5 college women will be sexually assaulted.
Hold on, before we go to this one, because I've watched Fresh and Fit, shout out to Fresh and Fit, and I've heard these myths being said by these college women on Fresh and Fit. Shout out to Fresh and Fit. So guys, you come across this, share this video to Fresh and Fit. I know it's 2 hours, they're not going to watch it, but you know. But just so you know, these myths are what's being said here. And women are perpetuating these myths as if to say it's facts, but it's not. This is one of the big ones. 1 in 5 college women. Now remember, these things are said and promoted to make you have what? Victimhood mentality. So that you are afraid of men. So that you are scared of men. And what does that do? That seeks to what? That's a dysfunctional mindset. It's a dysfunctional mindset in order to gain attention or to avoid self-responsibility. What are you hiding? Let's see myth number 4.
Now, this incendiary figure is everywhere in the media today. The 1 in 5 figure is based on a survey called the Campus Sexual Assault Study. But 2 prominent criminologists have noted fatal flaws. It had a very low response rate, a non-representative sample of respondents, and an overly broad definition of what counts as assault. I mean, it included such things as attempted forced kissing or intimate encounters while intoxicated. Now, defenders of the 1 in 5 figure will reply that the finding has been replicated by other studies, but these studies suffer from the same sorts of flaws. Now, the best study that we have on sexual assault on campus suggests the figures are closer to 1 in 40, not 1 in 4. 1 in 40 is still bad, but apparently not bad enough for the activists. And now for the mother of all feminist factoids. Women earn 77 cents for every dollar a man earns for doing the same work. Now, no matter how many times this wage gap claim is decisively refuted by economists, including feminist economists, it always comes back. The bottom line, the 23-cent gender pay gap is simply the difference between the average earnings of all men and women working full-time. It doesn't take into account differences in occupation, positions, education, job tenure, hours worked per week. When such relevant factors are considered, the wage gap narrows to the point of vanishing. Now, wage gap activists will say, no, women with identical backgrounds and jobs as men, they still earn less. But they always fail to take into account critical variables. And why play this game? Now, all of these reckless claims are nearly impossible to correct because armies of advocates, journalists, political leaders, they depend on killer stats to promote their cause. And I guess there's also an admirable human tendency to be protective of women, and stories of female exploitation are readily believed. But killer stats undermine good causes, and they send scarce resources in the wrong direction. My advice to women advocates, take back the truth. And if any of you have questions about anything I've said, or would like to see other dubious feminist facts investigated, please leave comments below.
Get my charger on before this thing
Appreciate
charges
what I'm
up.
doing here. Please subscribe to the
You
series.
subscribe to her, man. I'm subscribed to her. I'm gonna watch more of her channel and watch more of her videos. It was absolutely amazing
articles
in the article, right? But I'm gonna leave it there for tonight, ladies and gentlemen. It's been wonderful. It's been amazing. It's been epic. But I said it had to be an epic one tonight because here, excuse me, hearing this nonsense, it's really got to me now. And it's just a simple fact of understanding and exposing the lie behind it. And if these women do not, gentlemen, if these women do not, I repeat, do not want to change or move in the mindset of building a community, leave them alone. Right? And with that, run away from them. I'm out.